right, we had done a corridor study about 10 or 12 years ago on Highway 15, trying to come up with a long-term vision for 15 through St. Cloud. Originally, it was supposed to be a freeway. We weren't able to fund a freeway, so we have the at-grade expressway, which is generating its own problems now because there are so many vehicles on the cross streets that we've got big crash problems. And then a couple of years ago, there was the Greater Minnesota Interchange solicitation for interchanges. And the funding criteria was for areas with economic development and safety component, and the intersection on Highway 15 at County Road 120 fit that criteria really well, with Super Walmart going in and Sam's, and then all the medical development happening on the west side of Highway 15. So we proposed, and we were awarded funding for an interchange. The next main interchange type we looked at was what we call a single point diamond, which is a huge interchange with one signal system in the middle. The problem with single points is that they're so big and the structure is so huge with the bridges and the ramps that they're very expensive. And you can't expand them in the future if you need more capacity. Well, about that time, people were starting to talk about the diverging diamonds. And we kind of kicked it around a little and said, well, I wonder if that would work here. And so we had the consultant model it from a traffic perspective, and it looked like it was going to work really well. So we started sketching, and we started talking to some engineers in Missouri that actually had built one of the first ones in the U.S., and learned a lot from them. We did all the design work in-house, and we did work with the Federal Highway Administration to do kind of an expert review and see if there were any fatal flaws with the design, and they came back with some minor tweaks, and now we're building an interchange. Yeah, the standard diamonds just have straight ramps, and when you get to the top of the ramp or the bottom of the ramp, depending on the configuration, there are typically turn lanes and traffic signals. With the diverging diamond, what happens is traffic swaps its lane assignment as it goes across the bridge, and so you really never have vehicles making a 90-degree left turn. And those left turns are what causes a lot of crashes. People will run the lights, people will take chances. There are lots of opportunities for conflict in a signalized intersection. The diverging diamond takes all those left turns out because the traffic has moved to the opposite side of the roadway. And so instead of making a hard turn, it's more of like a ramp-like motion. There are a lot fewer conflict opportunities on the diverging diamond interchange than there would be on a normal interchange with signals and turn lanes. People will have to learn how to drive. We've actually had really good support from the community. When we had our first public meeting in February of 2011, the St. Cloud Times did some early stories on the DDI, and also posted some links on their website so that people could see video of a DDI in action down in Missouri and see how it worked. And people looked at those first and then came to the meeting and thought, you know, this is something that could probably work here. I started as a student worker after the strike in 1981.
Okay.
I worked in gravel pits, scaling trucks, and did that summers while I was in college, going to school for kind of environmental science. I've had really great supervisors who've allowed me to learn new things, to take on new roles and responsibilities with my projects. I didn't start out running projects like this. I came up through the ranks, and it's been a learning process, but they've given me so many opportunities, and I really appreciate that. And then that kind of transferred to being able to build relationships with the communities that I work with. And it's great to have people call you and say, you know, we've got this issue, can we find a solution? And actually be able to work something out with them. When I started, I was the only girl out in the field in the construction office, and actually I started here in St. Cloud in '81, and there was one other girl that worked in one of the concrete plants doing aggregate testing and concrete testing work. So there weren't many of us to start with, but I think that's really changed, and I think more women have gotten interested in the construction business and in MnDOT and in highway project development. A lot of the engineers I work with now are women, city engineers, as well as with the department. And so it brings a little bit different perspective. Sometimes we approach things a little differently, or just brings some different ideas to the table.